Alright, it was Friday when I read this. Hopefully you guys see it soon. Here we go. Yeah, okay. I feel like I'm crooked. Maybe it's just me. Who knows? Alright. You know what? We can do better than that. Yeah. Whole house is crooked. Why should I expect anything better here? Yeah, there we go. If I build a crooked house, the least I could do is sit up straight, right? Okay. When I wrote the script yesterday, it was still pretty hot. We got clouds today, so yay. Alright, anyway, so it's still hot, or it was. It will be again. Forecast high is 100 today. Yeah. Maybe I should wake up first. While I'm hiding in my little hole here, waiting for cooler temperatures, I'm considering my options going forward. Here's just a short list of what I have been looking at. I will probably make a video for each of these. 1. The Mars Pack System, a modular power system designed for off-grid life. 2. The next Delta Trike. You saw that coming. A much improved Delta Trike with 100 mile per day potential. 3. A solar-powered microcar for long distances, patterned somewhat after the Australian Solar Challenge, otherwise known as the Bridgestone World Solar Challenge. A fully enclosed vehicle capable of more than 200 miles per day. Entirely solar powered, not recharged off of the grid at all. Yeah, you'll see that soon. Or pictures of it. Okay. This video will be about the Mars Pack system. You will all disagree with me, which is enough reason for me to consider this, right? I have never been a fan of the solar generator systems that are too integrated, too proprietary, and just really clunky. If you have one and it works for you, great. But at that moment when you wish you could do one thing differently, you'll see what I mean. To me, the first step in any build is always void the warranty. It's great to be able to take something that already exists and then tweak it a little bit. Let me explain how I got to this as a starting point. I live off-grid. My power is all coming from solar panels. Okay, I do have a couple generators, but they smoke, are noisy, and I'd need to take a bike to town just to get more gas and oil. So I do my best to live within my solar power budget. The generator only gets used when I'm actually welding. Welding would take a pretty serious amount of solar and batteries, but that's an interesting option to look at again. Solar at the panels is DC power, direct current, like a battery. My solar system is set up to use 12-volt batteries, although there are others with 24, 48, or even higher voltages. Your house is wired for AC power, or alternating current, 110 volts usually, or 220 volts, depending where you live. So to go from solar to your house, we start with DC voltage at the solar panels. That goes through a solar charge controller that then charges your DC battery bank. Then, the DC power goes through an inverter, which converts the DC power to AC power. That then goes through the wires in your house, your van, your boat, or whatever you're doing. Okay, that's a bit convoluted, but it works. The first problem is we lose some power efficiency at every step of that. The solar powers aren't 100% efficient. Typically, PV or photovoltaic panels that we would use are about 15 to 25% efficient. Space-grade panels could be up to 35 to 50% efficient. That just means they're not catching or converting all of the potential power. We usually just call them solar cells or solar panels or solar array, but PV means we're using the solar panels to harvest sunlight into electrical power. You could also make a solar array that heated water directly, just some black pipes with water going through them. So the panels aren't 100% efficient. Then there are losses in the charging and battery systems. Although the new lithium, like lithium iron phosphate batteries, are much better. The inverter generates heat, so that's more lost efficiency. The whole point is, what if you didn't need to use AC power in the first place? Some examples to get you started. You could use a DC light, or a DC charger for your phone, or your laptop even. A fan might be DC powered. Once you start looking at it that way, you could run a whole off-grid power system and not need an inverter. Why would that be important? If we could eliminate the inverter, that's one part of the chain that's wasting your power. I'm a big fan of being able to make my own stuff, or being able to tinker. I also really like things that are modular. On my battery system, I have separate parts for the batteries, the charge controllers, the solar panels, the inverters, and yes, I have several of each. If one part isn't working, I can upgrade it, replace it, or just remove it and work around it. I can add batteries at any time I have extra money. Just hook them up. I can make my own power wiring as needed. Just find common connector and plug it in. I'm also a big fan of the idea of right to repair. This hasn't been getting as much coverage in the news as I had hoped, but you will hear of it once in a while. Let's say you spill your drink on your fancy Apple laptop. Well, as nice as they are, they're apparently not very forgiving of liquids. Take your laptop to the store and they'll sell you a new one. They never considered being able to fix them. So there are third-party repair places that learned how to do the repairs at the little tiny component level. Well, Apple sees this and freaks out, starts trying to stop the repair places from doing these repairs. That is right to repair. If I buy a thing, I kind of expect that that shiny new thing is mine. If I choose to open it up, blow the dust out of it once in a while, that should be reasonable. If I decide I'd like to change some parts or make little repairs, that should be okay, right? It's mine. If I want to put in a new radio in my truck that I don't have anymore, that shouldn't void the whole truck's warranty. Okay, so I went pretty far down the rabbit hole on this one and found some great sources for the batteries and some other components, thinking I would make my own power system. Not just for myself, but because I wanted to sell these to other like-minded people. Not all of us are excited about spending $1,000 on a cooler-sized power system that realistically is too heavy to be practically portable. The beginnings of this you've seen a few months back. I started looking at using cordless power tool batteries. Why buy a whole system if you already have a good set of batteries? The electric bike battery is another option to explore. Maybe you do sometimes have the power go off. Storms, hurricanes, or just random things like when the whole Texas power grid collapsed. Man, was I ever glad I wasn't plugged into that. There is a limit to how many hours of battery life you could have available. So you'd still want some solar and probably a generator. Or you could start the car and charge the batteries that way. I got to the point this seemed like a fun project to get into, but then I started running into logistical problems. A really obvious one is shipping. the batteries are considered hazardous materials. Sometimes batteries do start on fire. So a whole system designed around a battery I can't easily ship seems like a deal killer. It's kind of weird. When I buy the batteries, they get shipped to me, but when I looked into it, there are a lot of restrictions to deal with. And since I'm currently using a bicycle for my transportation, getting my battery packs to a UPS or FedEx location to ship isn't very practical. So rather than building these for sale, the second best is I'll just open source what I'm doing. And honestly, I didn't invent any of this anyway, so maybe open source is too generous of a word, but I'll just pull back the curtains and show you how I'm doing it. And then the 1% of you who are actually interested, well, here's your chance to make your own. I'll do more videos about this as I get time. This can be anything from a USB chargeable flashlight or a bedside fan, up to full off-grid house scale power system. Here's some examples of what I've been working on in the last few years out here. Long dramatic pause while I show you interesting pictures. And that's it. The Mars Pack system, a modular power system for off-grid life. Not available in any stores. Alright, thanks for watching. More coming soon. And then we do a little pause. Drink my tea. That's so good. Let's see, what else can we do? Other distractions. Okay, next one's the Delta Trike. Look at that, the internet works at the moment.